Coming up on Mountain News this morning, with winds easing up across much of Southern California, crews will look to further contain the wildfires. And the Perry County Sheriff's Office recently made a move to a new office to make it more accessible for everyone.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Madison Carmouche. We're inching up to that 6 o'clock mark this Thursday morning, and today is January 16th. Let's check in with meteorologist Eric Dean for a look at your forecast this morning. Now, Eric, if people are headed out this morning, they better bundle up.
Bundle up is definitely a seat warmer kind of morning. We're seeing temperatures in the teens and 20s at this hour. Good morning, everybody. Here's a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar as we head into the 6 o'clock hour. You can see a little bit of snow being picked up across portions of Pike County. We'll go ahead and pinpoint over towards Pike County, to the east of Pikeville, towards the Phelps area, to the west of the South Williamson area, seeing a little bit of snow at this time. Same story across portions of Buchanan County. Yesterday, we only made it to 28 after a morning start of 10. 44 and 27 is where we should be for this time of year. So yesterday, our high end is where our low end should be. Now, our low end tonight will be on par with our average, but right now we're seeing temperatures in the teens and 20s, a wide variety of temperatures. We're ranging from 30 in Hazard to 19 in Whitesburg and everywhere else in between, but that feels like temperature, feels like 23 in Hazard. That's what you want to dress for as you head out the door. Now, coming up in the first alert forecast, near normal temperatures. They are in the forecast for a limited time. Details in a few minutes. Madison.
All right, Eric, thank you. This morning, fire crews in Southern California are hoping to make more headway in stamping out multiple wildfires, with winds expected to ease up over the next few days. At least 25 people have died and more than 12,000 structures destroyed in the blaze that began over 1 week ago. As CBS News' Charlie DeMar reports from Los Angeles, officials there are now grappling with tough questions about what happened in the hours before disaster struck.
Weakening winds offered a much-needed break for firefighters battling the Southern California fires. But now questions swirl over what happened before the deadly flames spread.
It's the actions that we take prior to that wind event ever starting that are going to make the most difference.
CBS News has confirmed that as the Palisades fire started on the morning of January 7th, only 19 fire engines were pre-deployed to the area. It's unclear how many, if any, were sent to the first neighborhood on fire. Hours passed before officials sent out this notice to bring in off-duty firefighters.
I can guarantee you that every resource that was available was working and focused on the mission.
California's governor has signed an executive order to speed up the cleanup process so thousands of evacuees can get back in their homes.
The Glassmans returned to find a diamond in the rough among the ruins of their Palisades home.
I thought I was never going to see it again. It's just pure joy. I am so happy.
But sorrow for Jordan Mitchell, who was in the hospital when his wheelchair-bound father and brother with cerebral palsy died in the Eaton fire. He says his father called for help, but no one came.
Dying in a fire is not a pretty way to go. No one deserves that.
Crosses now line fences, honoring the more than 24 victims of the most destructive wildfires in California history. Charlie DeMar, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Federal and California state law enforcement officials have formed a task force to combat crime related to the wildfires, such as price gouging and looting. One of the LA County firefighters battling the massive fires in California is a Kentucky native. Kicker Vinsel graduated from Richmond Model in 1996, went to Western Kentucky University before moving to California. Vinsel is now a firefighter in California and is fighting fires mostly in the Eaton area of Los Angeles. He says he and his team are doing all they can, but wishes they could do more.
When you look at humanity and you start thinking about just being a human being, not a first responder, being an American, and you're seeing American people and people very close to where I live suffering, there's a lot of guilt.
Vinsel says he lived almost half his life in California, but will always consider himself a Kentuckian. In Rockcastle County, state police and several fire units responded to a semi-truck on fire yesterday. It happened on southbound I-75 just past mile marker 62. At one point, the fire was so large, smoke could be seen on the traffic camera. One lane of the highway was blocked while firefighters put out the flames. Police say no one was injured and the cause of the fire is unknown. As we first reported earlier this month, the Perry County Sheriff's Office is now in a new, more accessible location. It moved to a former bank branch on East Main Street where people can now use the drive-through to pay taxes. The Perry County Judge Executive says the old courthouse location's parking situation was not ideal for the department.
And so I think it will cut down, minutes, and anytime you're dealing with first responders, minutes is critical, and so I think it will cut down minutes on every run that they make, and they're right there at the intersection to where they can go any direction they need to go.
The new location is fully operational, but the sheriff says they hope to host a ribbon cutting next month. The Ashland Police Department's for in a new member of its team. This is Mabel, but she's not your average police canine. Mabel is an electronic sniffing dog, one of very few in the world with training for child exploitation cases. Her nose can help police detect micro SD cards, even finding things buried or underwater.
Any crime that has an electronic nexus, so like if we have a murder and the suspect flees and they toss their cell phone, and it has key evidence on it, she can go out in the woods and she can find that cell phone.
Mabel is food driven, so her handlers play a game of hide and seek with her daily meals. She's also the first canine with Ashland Police in more than 40 years. It is not just people that are impacted by bitterly cold temperatures. Pets, plants, and even cattle can be affected by the cold as well. A UK extension agent in Clark County says keeping them eating and drinking in cold weather can be challenging. Levi Berg says when livestock get cold, they may not be interested in eating.
Sometimes they don't want to travel to drink. They don't want to travel to eat. They just want to try to get somewhere out of the cold, out of the wind. So when they do that, well, if they're not eating and drinking, then all of a sudden they can become stressed.
Berg says keeping livestock dry is critical and adds food, water, and shelter are what you need to keep your livestock warm in the winter.
All right, as you head out the door, we're seeing temperatures in the upper teens, even low 20s, even low 30s. 30 is the current temperature in Hazard. We're at 28 in Jackson, 21 in Boonville, 19 in Manchester. But don't let that 30 in Hazard fool you, because the feels like temperature is substantially cooler than that. The good news, if there is any, we're between 18 to 23 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. 23 degrees warmer in Moorhead, 18 degrees warmer in Hazard, 17 degrees warmer in Pine Mountain, 18 degrees warmer in Wise. But again, that feels like temperature, even though we're at 30 in Hazard, feels like 23 out there. That's what you want to dress for as you head out the door. So the bottom line, please bundle up this morning. There's your hour-by-hour forecast. We'll go to 34 by the 10 o'clock hour, 39 by 4 p.m. Madison.
All right, Eric, thank you. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. The Commonwealth is hosting several webinars this year to help Kentuckians learn how to become medical cannabis cardholders.